Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Bunka. I am an engineering mentor and drive coach for Team 5895 Petty Robotics. So today we're going to be analyzing the match Finals 2 from the Hatboro-Horsham 2025 District Event here in the First Mid-Atlantic region. So let's go ahead and intro our teams. So on the red side of the field we have Alliance 1. Alliance 1 has a captain of Krypton Cougars out of Palmyra, Pennsylvania. They are, at this point, the three-time Hatboro-Horsham District champs. Eventually, they become the four-time as of a few hours ago. We have 341 Miss Daisy out of Ambler, Pennsylvania, one of the perennial powerhouses from FMA and a Hall of Fame team. And then rounding out Alliance 1, we have 2559 Normality Zero from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Normality Zero has been on the hunt for a blue banner since 2014, so congratulations to them for ending the drought. On the other side of the field in blue, we have Alliance 4, captained by the Fighting Robo Vikings out of Warminster, Pennsylvania, who have been looking for another blue banner since 2018. 2590 Nemesis, representing Robbinsville, New Jersey, another classic FMA powerhouse team. And then finally, 427, a team called Lancelot out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lancelot started last year in 2024, and this is actually the first instance of them playing in a set of finals matches since the team was created. All right, so let's jump into this analysis here. Match 2 at Hatboro-Horsham 2025 District Event. First off, let's move to the end of the autonomous period and point out the score. So right now, coming out of auto, Red has a reasonably good lead, given the time of the season. Right, Red is up by 11 points with a total of 33 to Blue's 22. So Red is in a good position as we move into teleoperated. So I'm going to go ahead and scrub to 2 minutes 12 seconds now, and we'll pause right here and just talk about the layout of these two alliances. So this, the layouts that these alliances are using are pretty similar, and they're pretty standard, right? Both alliances have 2 offensive robots and 1 defensive robot. So the defenders move to the other side of the field fairly quickly and start to deploy certain defensive tactics, while both of the offensive robots on each alliance are feeding from the human loading zone. And they each have their own set of human loading zone real estate. So they're spreading the offense out to try and make it harder to defend. A good standard format for both alliances. So as we move on here, you can see we'll move to 2 minutes, and at the 2-minute mark, you see here that once the opponent is out of the loading zone, Team 427, the defender for the Blue Alliance, actually does something super creative and very, very smart. So they have a shorter robot, which is somewhat of a rarity in this game. We have a tall pick and place style game, so height is valuable for scoring. 427 as the defender is shorter, and what you're going to see them do is they're going to defend the loading zone that they've selected, in this case the loading zone allocated to the Krypton Cougars, and then once the Krypton Cougars are out of the loading zone and are about into the reef safe zone, 427 actually pushes up against the driver's station wall. What's interesting about this is their drive team is no stranger to the fact that there are significant blind spots on all FRC fields, but one that is consistent so far, year in and year out, is the blind spot that's created in the area just up against the wall that you're standing behind as a drive team. So what's interesting here is 427 is playing good defense, and then when the defensive opportunities have diminished, instead of standing in the field of view of the drivers that they're trying to defend against, they actually push up against the driver station wall, and they're able to hold a certain level of an element of surprise. So when another robot re-enters the human player zone, 427 is able to kind of jump in out of nowhere and defend them, giving them somewhat of a defensive advantage. Awesome. So let's go to 1 minute left in the match. You're going to see 341 here, Miss Daisy. So this robot had become a huge presence right out of the gate at this event because they had somewhat of a rarity equipped on their robot. They had a ground coral intake. Most of the other robots at the event, not all of them, but most of them were human player loading specialists. Daisy can do both, but they opted to focus on ground intake. You can see here at 1 minute roughly, this robot is going to sort of encounter a jam. So I've been told that 341 is already redesigning or upgrading that intake, but they are able to respond accordingly and switch to a human player loading method to acquire coral for scoring, showing a lot of really good on the fly thinking to prevent from any efficiency drops in terms of their offensive execution. Right, so now let's get to the final 30 seconds here. You're going to see what's interesting, what makes this match so exciting is that blue is actually able to close the gap. So up until this point, red had been sort of pacing ahead of blue, holding on to that reasonable point lead that they had coming out of autonomous. But blue is able to close the gap and make it a very, very close match. So what you're going to see here is that one of the defenders, 2559 for the Red Alliance, actually pushes forward and plays a more conventional defensive style where they're just sort of camping a human player zone and restricting 50% of the human player loading opportunities from the Blue Alliance. So instead of sort of fighting through, the Blue Alliance, specifically 2590 and 2607, are going to off-sync from each other. They're going to share one human player zone, which is a little bit more restrictive, but they do it in such a way that while one of them is loading from that human player zone, the other one is scoring. And then once those two processes are complete, they switch. And they just sort of rinse and repeat there to try and boost their throughput as the match starts to close out. Right, so final score ends up being super tight. Like we said, we had a final score of 122 to 121. Razor thin point differential, but thanks to some solid planning and the ability to adapt on the fly, Alliance 1 comes out on top, taking the W for the first district event here in First Mid-Atlantic. Super exciting match, right? Very exciting, very dynamic. Both alliances deploying, some creative approaches. And while they didn't come out with the win, definitely hats off to Alliance 4, our finalist alliance here at Hatboro-Horsham, for deploying a creative twist on a relatively conventional strategy, right? They were able to sort of turnstile themselves in and out of one human player loading station, and then they had this sort of creeping through the shadows approach to defense, which made 427 a very, very challenging robot to score against. All right, well, stay tuned to Fun for more content just like this. Make sure to comment below on anything you noticed that I might have missed, looking at this match. And if there's any other matches that you're interested in having an analysis done on, definitely drop us a line as well. I'm Jeff with Fun Robotics Network and Team 5895. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.